Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus, bringing you another Total War Warhammer Online Ladder battle. I want to apologize for not putting out as many videos this weekend as I have generally done in the past. This is because the Grim in the Grave patch has come out, and I've been testing. I probably have about 20 hours of testing in so far, and that's been necessary because there were significant changes made to the game that were not in the patch notes. I don't know why, but there's valuable information that we're not being presented with, so the only way to find it out is to do extensive testing. I still have a lot more to do, but I will tell you, Chaos Warriors got a 25 cost reduction across the board. Chaos Knights, whether barded or not, are 100 cheaper. That's just from Chaos. For the Empire, Halberdiers have been nerfed. They are much less effective against infantry, and their great swords, which they claim to have nerfed, are actually better. And the great weapon buff seems to have affected the great swords, which I think is why they're better, but it's also affected other units with great weapons like the dwarfs and chaos and whatnot, and they're definitely performing better. I also think there may be some changes as far as how shields work. So there's just a lot of things that weren't in the notes that are definitely of interest. One more thing I forgot to mention is I've noticed that beastmen seem to have been nerfed. Their infantry is not nearly as cost effective as it was before. I need to do more testing, but it appears we got a stealth nerf on the new race that we got. So not necessarily a good thing, but things we need to know. So today's replay, I'm going to be commanding the Warriors of Chaos, my favorite GIMP faction, against the Vampire Counts. Now this is a new configuration I came up with for fighting against the Vampire Counts. It includes 1 Hell Cannon, 1 Giant, 4 Chaos Warriors with great weapons, 5 Forsaken, 1 Sorcerer of Fire, and 1 Chaos Lord on a barded horse, or barded Chaos Steed, as well as a potion of toughness. My opponent brings a very, very good composition for the Vampire Knights, or Vampire Counts, I'm sorry, including 1 unit of Blood Knights. He has 2 White Kings with considerable amounts of abilities, but no healing potions. He also brings 4 Skeleton Warriors, 3 of which are ranked up, 1 of which is the new Königstein Stalkers, so one of the regiments of renown. He brings 3 Graveguard with great weapons, 1 Mortis Engine, and his Strigoi Ghoul King with a considerable amount of spells and abilities as well. So the Mortis Engine I haven't had much experience against, so I'm not quite sure how to deal with it. The same goes for the Strigoi Ghoul King. These new units are definitely changing things up. Now, as the vampires have no ranged of any sort, and I've got a Hell Cannon on the field, I'm going to make him come to me, especially considering I don't want to go up this big hill. That's almost always a bad idea. I'm also going to use the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire to launch a fireball here, and then I'm going to generally reserve the rest of his Winds of Magic for the 2 buffs that I like to use. Now, he's going to bring his Blood Knights around the edge, always a good choice. He's also being aggressive with his flyer here, so I'm going to move back my Chaos Sorcerer because he will not be able to beat a Terrorgeist with a Ghoul King on it in melee. That would be absolutely horrendous for me and not the kind of trade I want to make. So he starts pushing his entire army, but he's being very measured about it, which I appreciate because it gives me more shots with my Hell Cannon. And because his terrain advantage here, the Hell Cannon, like all artillery, is not good shooting uphill, but it's especially bad because it doesn't go way up in the air. Instead, it's a pretty horizontal firing that it does there. You're going to see I got a great hit there on those Graveguard. They're down 14 units and a considerable amount of health. Now back here I shot a fireball as Ghoul King. I just wanted to discourage him from what it looked like he was going to do, which is one of those numbers, and we don't like that. I also fold back 1 Forsaken on each edge, expecting a potential double Blood Knight charge. I didn't know if he had one hid in the forest. He did not, but I was prepared for it. And here in a second I'm going to countercharge. And I'm a little sloppy with the countercharge. You're going to see 3 units go into a White King. This is not a high threat, and it's a bad move, so I'm not happy about that. If I do get one of my Forsaken around the flank, which I always like to do on each side, which is why I go with a long line like I did here. He spawns Crypt Horrors behind me, so it's a good thing I had these Forsaken back here to guard my Hell Cannon, because it has definitely not paid for itself to this point. I need it to stay in the battle. Beautiful rear charge from the Blood Knights. These guys are just incredibly good. Every time I see them, I'm like, oh, I want those. They're just so good. He's keeping his Mortis Engine in the center where it's affecting as many units as possible. I'm guessing that's a good way to use them. It certainly seems to be. I finally fold in my Forsaken here. I was busy microing elsewhere. It seems like he's doing the same because those were stationary for a while. But now he's bringing his Blood Knights in for another rear charge. And it looks like they're going to target my Giant here, which is a good choice because the Giant can do a lot of damage, but the anti-large of the Blood Knights are going to do, be able to do good damage to him. You can see his health moving pretty quickly there. So definitely a good choice on my opponent's part. Now over here, I'm canceling out his guys on the left flank, so I'm happy about that. My Forsaken have held up quite a bit against his Crypt Horrors and done considerable damage, so I'm happy about that. The center looks like it's going to go my way as I'm pushing that way, so at this point in the battle, I'm feeling pretty good. Now here, I am getting my butt handed to me, but he's got 5 units, if you count the Mortis Engine, dedicated to dealing with this Giant, which is, I believe, favorable to me. On the right flank, his White King is fading quickly, as are his Skeleton Warriors. But then I notice some of my guys are starting to flee, they're starting to get low on health, so I am starting to get more concerned about how the battle's going. I pull back another Forsaken to try to finish off the Crypt Horrors, and another to get the White King off of my Hell Cannon. These guys reform, so I send them in. I'm trying to pin down his Strigoi Ghoul King, which to this point I have had no success doing. His mass and maneuverability are serving him well. My Fire Sorcerer has just been buffing the entire time since the engagement began, so I'm just trying to keep him safe and keep him from getting beat up. I win on the far right, and I start pushing in to envelop his line. And at this point too, I'm feeling very good about the battle. I feel it's going well. Have I made mistakes? Sure. But I feel overall it's going pretty well, and I like the way the field looks right now. If you just kind of go back on it or look at it this way, yeah, it looks like I've got more units, I've got more health, things are going my way. Now, the problem is I think I really underestimated the effectiveness of the Mortis Engine and possibly the Ghoul King. And the reason why I say that is I didn't really target this thing till quite late in the battle, and I didn't make a full effort on the Ghoul King. Sure, when he was near my guys, I went after him, but I didn't really single him out. I didn't feel that either of those were going to be giant concerns for me. But as you can see, things are starting to turn against me quickly. A lot of my men are running, there's fear issues, guys are going out, some of them are coming back, some of them are not. They're attempting to, but you're going to see like these guys break. A lot of guys are going to break. He's going to charge in his Mortis Engine, using it a lot like any other chariot. It doesn't have quite the push, but it's definitely doing some damage. It's getting considerable kills. And I also believe it has an aura that does damage around it. If I'm correct on that, that's going to be a factor as well over time. It's a damage over time sort of deal. And you're going to see things are turning against me. My Giant is all but done. These guys are running. These guys ran all the way back to here and now fled the field. And in a second he's going to take out my Lord, which is pretty much going to do me in here. His Strigoi Ghoul King still looks very healthy. Not going to get him. I'm trying to beat down the Mortis Engine with these Forsaken. They do a lot of damage in a short period of time, but they're not going to do enough, and they're going to take considerable damage going up against them. And also, they're just going to get fear from all these scary units pouring down on them. So, overall, a great game. My opponent played very well, brought a very good composition, and I feel my composition is a little flawed, and when we look at the summary, we'll talk a little bit about that and what I think we can do to make this better. And also, I'd love to see comments from you guys on how effective is the Mortis Engine, how highly should I rank it as far as things I'm trying to deal with when I run up against it, and the same thing for the Strigoi Ghoul King, because with all this new stuff, we're going to have to, it's best if we share information so we can learn as much as possible and play as well as we can. So you're going to see his Terrorgeist is having a field day working on my Hell Cannon here, and they're really the only thing that's still on the field. Dead, and a valiant defeat for the Chaos Warriors. Now, there's a number of reasons why I showed you this video. First of all, I felt this was a very strong vampire build, and the player played it extremely well, so congratulations to him. Also, I wanted to show that when I play the Warriors of Chaos, I do not always win. As a matter of fact, I lose a decent bit. They really are, in my opinion, the weakest faction. Not to mean they're unplayable or completely not competitive, but you're definitely fighting an uphill battle. Now, let's talk about what we did wrong as far as our configuration, our tactics, and what we can do to make this better and more competitive. Number one is, when I stretched out my line, I think that was a good thing. But I let him get the initiative with those White Kings, and they tied down too many units. White Kings are not dangerous enough to justify that much attention, and I was pretty much forced into it, and that's not a good thing. It's a good thing for my opponent, and he did a good job, but for us, we don't want that. We don't want that at all. I think the Giant here was a little bit, well, first of all, he was out on an island. We didn't protect him well, and he did hold up for a long time, which Giants generally do, but I'm not sure he's a good value for us. The Hell Cannon at 65 kills, we did a great job of protecting that. It was the last thing to leave the field. But we didn't get great results out of it, so I feel that could have been microed better. And I also believe that the terrain advantage that existed on this map wouldn't exist on most maps, and it would do better. So I think we can keep it, but I think we drop the Giant. We bump one of our Chaos Warriors with great weapons up to a Chosen with great weapon, and we drop a Forsaken. That will allow us to take our Chaos Lord on a Chaos Dragon, and it would also allow us to add one Exalted Hero on a Manticore, which if we run into a Strigoi Ghoul King on his Terrorgeist in the air by himself, we'll be able to take him out. And if they bring some Vargeists or other flyers, they're going to lose cost effectiveness just to win that war in the air. So I think that would make this build much stronger. The other thing is, maybe I shouldn't have fireballed 2 times. I should have saved more magic for buffs. But overall, I did get a lot of buffs out during the battle. The other question, like I said, is the Mortis Engine and the Strigoi Ghoul King. How threatening are these guys? Do I need to take one of them out right away? I look forward to your thoughts on that, this build. We also made some micro mistakes, which we talked about, but I don't think those were the game changer in this fight. I think we were definitely fighting uphill. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, please subscribe. There's a tons of things that I want to do. I would love to do a giveaway at my 100 subscriber mark. It could be the next DLC if that comes along in time, or we could do something else. I would absolutely love to do some tournaments where I would put up cash prizes for people, and we could do some live casting of that and also do replays. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and we'd all learn a lot and just have a good time with it and help build this community of online play, multiplayer competitive play for Total War Warhammer, because I think it's a great game. We have so many more DLCs coming. We're going to have a total of 15 factions. We're going to have 2 expansions. This thing's going to be great for years. So we really need to do everything we can, I believe, to build an awesome community. So please like, please subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, get involved in the comments, and let's grow this thing and do some really cool stuff. So until then, this is the Magnus. Thanks a lot as always. Take care, and I'll see you real soon.